After 11 years, Mario Kart is back after coming back 3 times. Mario Kart 9 was a hot topic of discussion in the Nintendo circle for quite a few years. Mario Kart 8 did well enough on Wii U, but it truly found its footing on the Switch with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where it sold over 60 million units, the most in the series by far. That kind of mitigated the need for a brand new Mario Kart on the Switch, and everyone was satisfied enough with 8 Deluxe for the time being. But around 2023, 2024, I think we were all itching for something new. And launching a new Mario Kart with a new Nintendo Switch is a match made in heaven. Think about it. You have a console that you can take anywhere at all, that can be switched between a handheld console and a home console with a dock, comes with controllers that can act either as a single controller or split into two for multiplayer, and Mario Kart is Nintendo's premier multiplayer title, and again, it's been 11 years. Mario Kart is undoubtedly a great choice for a launch title. When Mario Kart World was fully unveiled in the Switch 2 Direct, I was really impressed. The prospect of an open-world Mario Kart intrigued me. The standard Mario Kart format is great, but I think it was due time for a shakeup. That wasn't to say the open world wasn't without caveats. I, alongside pretty much everybody, agreed that the spaces in between the actual courses in the open worlds were just roads, like literally just roads. Suffice to say, I was skeptical, but still hopeful. Now, what I was more worried about was... Luckily for me, I managed to secure a pre-order for the Switch 2 Mario Kart World bundle, which is a pretty good deal when you think about it, considering you get $30 off of Mario Kart World, which makes the price tag of the game much closer to what the game is actually worth, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we begin, shout out to Walmart for sending free Pringles and Coke with my order. Real nice of y'all. Something I realized not too long after starting Mario Kart World was that one of my fears was in vain, the visuals. In a lot of the footage I'd been looking at prior to release, the game looked good visually, but a step below 8. I even felt this way after watching the original Switch 2 teaser, which had a few seconds of Mario Kart World footage. But seeing the game in person made me realize that YouTube compression did not do this game's graphics any favors. Mario Kart World looks really good. Everything has so much detail and the lighting and reflections are fantastic. I think it really is a thing where you have to see it in person to believe it. Again, YouTube compression, it can cut out more detail than you think. It runs really well too, keeping 60 FPS at all times. But, while I like how Mario Kart World looks a lot, I think it's fairly agreeable that in some areas Mario Kart 8 had better visuals, at least in terms of realism. I look at it like this: if Mario Kart 8 mastered a more realistic art style, Mario Kart World masters the more traditional cartoony Mario art style. There's no booster course pass untextured grass here. The animations are really bouncy and expressive too. They complement the more cartoony and stylized character designs. And I know there are some differing opinions on this. I like how Donkey Kong looks. Goofy monkey. The character selection, though, I'm kinda mixed on. There's everyone you would expect: Bowser, Peach, Yoshi, Luigi, Daisy, Donkey Kong. Oh, and Mario. The new characters are strictly the, quote, NPC drivers. And don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled to be able to play as Pianta, Monty Mole, and Cow, but I don't want half the roster to be taken up by them. And none of the NPC drivers have any alternate costumes, which I'll get to in a minute. There are so many non-enemy characters that would have been awesome to see in Mario Kart. Cappy, the Sprixie Princesses, Egad, F*** it, Gooper Blooper, I don't care. None of the major characters, being those with alternate costumes, are new to Mario Kart, which is very disappointing. What's also disappointing is those alternate costumes themselves. Don't get me wrong, I love these, they're really cool and fun and awesome. It's more so how they're integrated as a mechanic and how they're unevenly distributed. You unlock the costumes by consuming dash food, which can be found around the world. Using it acts the same way a mushroom would and transforms your character into a different costume. It doesn't change anything besides that. Having a different costume doesn't change your stats or anything, it's just, you're different now. Oh boy, it's a mushroom with extra steps. And while some characters like Mario and Yoshi have 8 to 10 costumes, some like Bowser Jr. only have 4. Donkey Kong only has 1. Again, I'm happy to have these in the first place, but it feels half-assed. Also, what the hell is going on with this UI? The alternate sorting option should be the default one at the very least, and even then, does this really need to span 10 plus pages with every costume getting its own slot? Just make a drop-down menu for costume selection. You already have a drop-down menu programmed for when you highlight a character on the map. Come on, guys. I'm willing to forgive it because Dry Bones has the greatest character selection animation of all time. Mario Kart World controls about how you would expect it to. Well. At the same time, it is different than Mario Kart 8, a bit looser. Drifting in particular is less tight. Not bad at all, it just takes some getting used to. What also took some getting used to were the new tricking mechanics, rail and wall riding. I really like the idea of rail grinding. Hell, I considered it to be a possibility before it was even revealed. It leads to some pretty interesting track design and creates some cool shortcuts. Wall riding is cool as well. The levels are less built around it than rail riding, but once you figure out how to effectively use it, you can secure the advantage as easily as taking candy from a corpse. Seriously, have you looked at some of the time trial world records for some of the tracks? Holy crap, dude. Like I alluded to before, it does take some getting used to, especially if you're like me and have been playing a lot of Tony Hawk as of late and try to do tricks in the air by pressing left and right, which actually throws you off a rail. There's also the charge jump, which lets you jump, easy for getting up on rails and walls. It's pretty cool. You can also do multiple tricks in the air now, which not only looks cool as hell, but also helps to reorient yourself. But I don't understand why doing more tricks doesn't give you a bigger boost. I understand that'd potentially be OP, but at that rate just cap the boost after like 3 tricks. The tricks also serve to make the areas between tracks more interesting, with a couple of fences and walls for you to do your thing on, which is a perfect segue to the tracks in Mario Kart World for the most part are excellent, my personal favorites being Acorn Heights and Great Question Block Ruins. They look really nice and really take advantage of the new trick options. Crown City is a fun one too. I really like the part where you drive on pieces of road suspended above a construction site. And the Day of the Dead theming of Dry Bones Burnout is just wonderful. The retro tracks are a mixed bag. We did get Toad's Factory, my personal favorite Mario Kart track, and while it's accompanied by one of the greatest musical arrangements in Mario Kart history, it's nearly the exact same as it was on the Wii. Some of the picks are pretty disappointing. I mean, Desert Hills, Moo Moo Meadows, SNES Mario Circuit. Granted, for the latter track, I liked how they merged 3 of the variations into one track. Others, though, I really enjoy. Sky High Sunday was a pretty track in Mario Kart 8, but they used grind rails in a slightly more interesting layout to spice it up. Dino Jungle got a really fun visual overhaul, and Wario Shipyard really benefits from driving on top of water rather than under it. But I wish Sky High Sunday wasn't the only track coming back from Mario Kart 8. I understand that World doesn't include 8's anti-gravity mechanic, but in that case, there are plenty of Mario Kart 8 tracks that don't heavily use anti-gravity. Toad Harbor, Super Bell Subway, Thwomp Ruins, come on. But what about Rainbow Road? Mario Kart World's Rainbow Road is a road in the sky. Before I get too negative, because believe you me, I will start to get pretty negative soon, let me talk about what I do like about this track. The visuals and music of this Rainbow Road are awesome. Compared to 8's Rainbow Road, it's much more vibrant, and this shot is incredible. I really like how it's accompanied by a special final lap jingle exclusive to this track. The music adapting to which part of the track you're on is really cool as well. But it's just a little too basic. It's not difficult at all. The track is super wide with hardly any obstacles or interesting gimmicks. Wouldn't you want to take advantage of rail and wall riding to make it more interesting? I'm just saying, rainbow rails are a real thing, huge missed opportunity. For a track as historically difficult as Rainbow Road, I sure haven't fallen off the track a single time in the several times I've raced through it. This isn't a bad track at all, I really like it, but it's kind of carried by its music and visuals rather than its gameplay. Although, admittedly, there are some parts with a pretty good sense of speed. I really like all these new tracks, but I want to be able to race on them for more than 20 seconds. In the Grand Prix themselves, I mean. I know you can do regular 3-lap races in Versus mode. Let's not forget that big controversy involving Mario Kart World's track design, that being the transition areas between the actual tracks. Grand Prix are structured differently now, and have you driving from track to track as part of each race. You only do 1 lap at the actual track the race is named after. Here's the thing, we were right. They pretty much are just roads. Generally, the only obstacles are a few cars. I'm not a fan of this, but it kind of works in a way. Kind of, it's very situational. Remember that we're no longer working with just 12 racers, we have 24, and that makes things twice as chaotic with all the extra items flying around, especially in multiplayer. To be honest, in the midst of all the crap flying your way, you'll sometimes forget you're essentially driving in a straight line. Now, when you're front running, and especially in single player, the simple design is far more obvious, and that's when I became a bit bored. They couldn't have put like a left turn here? Really? At least the more open track design gave the golden mushroom a purpose, since now you can cut some really wide corners. But what about what Nintendo was really hyping up about this game? The reason they think Mario Kart World is worth your $80.
Welcome to this vast world.
There are so many details in this world.
Go wherever your heart takes you. A transcontinental race around the world.
These courses are actually connected in a physical world.
In this vast world,
The whole world starts to feel like a course.
fully interconnected world. Drive virtually everywhere in this world.
It's alright. I liked driving around the world. There's some cool stuff to see, but once you've played through the 8 Grand Prix, you've pretty much seen everything there is to see. Like, oh boy, a road, not enough of those in this vast world. Sure, in free roam you get to drive over question block panels and find hidden coins, but I mean, it's not that cool. The big draw of free roam to me is that they did bring back mission mode from Mario Kart DS. Kind of. In free roam, you can find P-switches, and driving over them starts a mission. Now this is all well and good. 90% of these missions involve either collecting 8 blue coins or driving through rings. Remember Mario Kart DS's missions? They had boss battles, they had missions where you would use items against enemies, they had missions where you had to drive backwards, they had missions where you had to get a certain number of drift boosts. And yeah, they had missions where you would drive through rings, but it wasn't every single mission. Most of these missions are incredibly easy too. I've played over 100 of them, and I'd say around 90% of those took me 3 attempts or less. I'd rather have these than not, but I also would have liked to see a lot more variety. There's also this thing in free roam where Nabbit will occasionally appear and you can ram into him and catch him, and you get a sticker. That's literally it. You don't unlock him as a playable character, he's unlocked from the get-go. You get a sticker for catching him the first time, and that's literally it. Oh yeah, there are stickers in this game. You get them as rewards for certain achievements. I wish that you unlocked characters for these achievements instead of stickers, sorta similar to Mario Kart Wii, but okay. The only thing the stickers do is serve as an emblem on your card and next to your name online. Kinda wish we had the emblem editor from Mario Kart DS instead. Would've worked well with the Joy-Con 2 mouse mode. Also in free roam, and occasionally in actual races, you can find these larger vehicles you can drive into and control. And while this is cool, it only lasts for a few seconds, and it's only used in a handful of missions. It really feels like a small novelty at best. Knockout Tour is the big new mode Mario Kart World has to its name, where people in lower positions get eliminated after each section. And it's awesome, it really is. In multiplayer, when I'm playing Knockout Tour in single player, I find it kind of frustrating because compared to the Grand Prix where you can lose a race or two but still get the gold trophy, you can get right up to the end of a Knockout Tour and then some f***ass CPU blue shells you, followed by 2 more red shells, and you're suddenly in 4th place and have wasted 10 minutes of your time. Yes, I know, skill issue. And again, in single player, the straight line driving really shines here since most of the knockout tours involve driving on the transition sections between tracks, during which I had several experiences where some CPU was miles ahead for some reason, and I had no way of catching up because you're just driving straight. And garbage item pulls, that too. I still like the knockout tour a lot though. When you're playing in multiplayer, especially online, there are a ton of items flying around and it's super chaotic. Plus, there's no mark of completion to worry about in multiplayer, so it's just, you can just let loose and have fun. This game's fun. And on the topic of straight line driving, where is 200cc? It seems like a given it would be here with the straight line driving. Mario Kart 8's most boring tracks were made more interesting through 200cc. I'm just shocked it isn't here in the first place. The way the developers are wording it, it sounds like it might be added in an update in the future. It should have been here at launch! Amidst all the chaos, a couple of small changes have been made to how certain items work, which complement the upgraded player count. The bullet bill is notoriously powerful, shooting you forwards, steering automatically, and plowing through anyone who dares cross paths with it. In World, the bullet is still extremely powerful. It led me to several decent comebacks. But instead of making someone spin out when hit by it, they just get knocked to the side, balancing the atom a bit more. A similar principle is applied to the vehicles you pass in the in-between sections. Hitting them head-on or at a certain speed still makes you tumble, but unlike previous games, hitting them from the side won't. Considering how often you have to avoid cars in these areas, this is a welcome change that makes that gameplay significantly less annoying than it could have been. Lightning also works slightly differently now, only striking people in front of the person with lightning instead of everybody. I'm kinda surprised it wasn't like this already. The new items aren't really that good. The standout for me is the hammer, since you get a few throws and the hammers stay on the track for a little bit. They can be pretty effective. But the other ones, there's the ice flower, which is just a reskin of the fire flower, the mega mushroom, which despite what Nintendo may say, isn't actually a new item, the feather, which again, not a new item, the coin shell, which makes coins, oh boy, the question mark block, which spits out coins and is pointless, and Kamek, which transforms other racers into an enemy character. This does literally nothing. Like, that's it, you're different now, it only lasts for a few seconds. This is how you unlock the NPC drivers. Why? What does this do? Well, I guess sometimes it also spawns some enemies on the road. But again, sometimes. It doesn't seem to happen every time for some reason. Just make Kamek a character again. Hi, Editor Harry here. I was wrong, he does spawn enemies in the track every time, and not just sometimes. Don't ever listen to anything I say, ever. The battle mode in this game sucks. Once again, they did the Mario Kart 8 Wii U thing, where they don't have actual battle maps and just repurpose existing tracks. For the most part at least. 2 of the 8 battle maps aren't just repurposed tracks, neither of which are original. Okay, one technically is, but it's just Diet Thwomp Desert from Mario Kart Wii. The maps are like slightly altered to make them more suitable for battle, but none of them feel that great to battle on. Honestly, I wish the battle maps were just outside the open worlds. I don't understand why they have to be in the first place. It doesn't really add to my immersion of this being one vast interconnected world. It's not like the maps extend across the entire world. Now that would have been interesting, a multi-hundred player battle across an entire open world where each player only gets one balloon. Instead, we only get balloon battles and coin runners returning. Really? Remember how Mario Kart 8 Deluxe rectified the horrible battle mode in the original release of Mario Kart 8, adding 4 more battle modes and 8 original battle maps? Well, f*** that, because we're back to this. They didn't even bring back Shine Thief, that's the best one. Once again, we're required to have a time limit, which is weird to me. Once you lose all your balloons, you get eliminated, so why couldn't they just make the classic elimination mode an option? I don't know how they consistently keep screwing up battle mode. You'd think they would have learned a thing or two by now. Hell, they did. Again, the whole point of 8 Deluxe was that it had a good battle mode. Despite World's shortcomings, there is an element I think is objectively great, the soundtrack. Following in Mario Kart 8's footsteps, it uses live band recordings, and all of them, from the music and the tracks themselves, to the main theme, to the fantastic arrangements of classic Mario music and free roam, are all a joy to listen to. I just want a way to listen to the high quality versions of the music outside of the game. I'm just saying, Nintendo, you have that entire music app that you only update once a week. So what I've covered here is pretty much everything, and it begs the question, is Mario Kart World worth $80? No. No. I like Mario Kart World, I really do, but for what's on offer here, $80 is insane. Nintendo looked at this game, saw that it was open world, and decided that that was enough to warrant a big price hike. Except it isn't. Again, once you've played the 8 Grand Prix, you've seen nearly everything, and that only takes a few hours. The comparison that comes to mind is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo's first $70 game which remained its only until the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild. The game is set in an absolutely massive open world, with tons to discover, an actual story to follow, a plethora of unique side quests, and endless possibilities. Seeing everything here will take you hundreds of hours. I think because of that, 70 makes sense for Tears of the Kingdom. You will get a ton out of the game. And then Mario Kart World, being one of the only games at the time of release and Nintendo's first to be $80, can be finished in a few sittings. What would I have priced Mario Kart World at? Frankly, I don't think it's worth 70 either, if that's what Tears is worth. This game, in my mind, is worth 60. But if Nintendo just had to price it higher than their other games because that vast world is just so great, I think a nice $64.99 would be fair. It is nice that you get the game for $50 in the bundle, but after fall 2025, that bundle is no longer going to be printed, which makes me wonder, how much is this game going to sell once the only way to get it is for $80? Remember, Nintendo games rarely go on sale and nowadays never receive price cuts. I honestly believe a good number of casual consumers will opt for the $20 cheaper 8 Deluxe over World. Oh, who am I kidding? It's Mario Kart. The game will outsell the console it's on by next week. I think the price for the Switch 2 itself, well, it could have been lower, is fair considering what you get. But seriously, $55 for the webcam, $10 for the game that should be a free pack-in, $70 for Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, an upgrade of an 8-year-old game which doesn't even include the DLC. I really hope Nintendo gets their head out of their ass with the pricing soon enough. Oh my god, it's Realist Harry! Yeah, we both know that's not gonna happen. Yeah. On a 10-point scale, I would give Mario Kart World an 8.121. It is not a bad game. Honestly, it's a pretty dang good one. I love the art style, the new tracks, and the new mechanics, but man, there is so much missed potential, strange design decisions, and I just can't get over that price. For comparison, I would give 8 Deluxe like a 9.5. You know what would be nice? If Nintendo, instead of doing one Mario Kart per console, did 2. One open world and one in the traditional format we all know and love. That way, you satisfy both sides and shorten the gap between games significantly. Yes, I know that is completely unrealistic and will never happen, but a man can dream, can't he? At the very least, we know now that Cow has a greater than 0 chance of getting into the next Smash.